Hello, good people. Eber here with HardwareCanucks, and Blackberry is officially inviting me to downtown Toronto for an exclusive briefing for their upcoming Blackberry smartphone. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they are announcing the smartphone on June the 7th. It is May the 29th, so I do have quite a bit of time to get my hands on with the device, perhaps come up with my first impressions of the new device as well. So yeah, this is pretty exciting. It's Blackberry, so I'm pretty curious about this. Let's go check it out. All right, good people. So my briefing with Blackberry is complete, and I finally have my hands on the Blackberry KEY2. So this is the successor to the Blackberry KEY1. If you guys recall, I did take a look at that phone. Phenomenal device for the price, and of course, it was one of my personal favorite smartphones of 2017. If you're interested in a review, you can actually check it out right over here. But what I'm going to do right now is just take some B-roll shots of the KEY2, and I'll give you guys my first impressions of what I think. But first, a quick message from our sponsor.
The new Masterkeys MK750 keyboard comes with a comfortable magnetic wrist rest, beautiful RGB light bar on the perimeter, and per-key lighting control with a variety of Cherry MX switches and a bottom Type-C connection. Cooler Master doing it right. Check it out below.
So after spending a few hours with the Blackberry KEY2, I've got to say, I'm interested to see how well the smartphone would do in 2018. From a design standpoint, there is nothing significantly different when compared to the KEY1. All Blackberry has done is sort of refine the edges by making it more edgier. The rear side of the phone has also received a different treatment in terms of the texture. So now it comes with this rough plastic texture when compared to the soft touch rubberized material that I loved with the Blackberry KEY1. So I'm not sure how I would get used to this KEY2 when I eventually get my review sample. If you recall from my Blackberry KEY1 review, I mentioned how the convenience key was located at an odd position. So what Blackberry has done is actually relocate that key to the right side of the device. So we now have your volume rockers, your power button, and of course the convenience key at the same side for easier access. What's even interesting is this convenience key can be reprogrammable to open up any application, whether that's Chrome, Gmail, camera, whatever that is. You can also have the option to turn it out completely off. So to me personally, this is an excellent feature. In some cases, you could technically make it to trigger Google Assistant, but I obviously have to play around with that when I get the device in hand later on. So definitely stay tuned for our full review. Now, given that this is a Blackberry device, and since the KEY2 is a successor to the KEY1, obviously expect a physical keyboard within the unit. And this time, they've actually changed the material that they've used to manufacture the keys. So instead of going with the glossy plastic finish, now we get a matte black finish, which is great. I love the texture of the keys. It's a lot more easier to type with, because with the KEY1, I sort of got to a point where when grease and sort of other things gets in the way, it kind of feels awkward to type with the keyboard, and sometimes you could end up slipping, or you might end up missing certain keys. So with the matte finish, it actually sort of eliminates that problem, and it actually looks a lot more sleeker. One of the cool features of the Blackberry KEY2 is the addition of the speed key. It's essentially located right beside the spacebar key, which by the way still acts as a fingerprint reader. So what the speed key does is that you can assign it to open a certain application while you're in a full screen app. For example, if I'm browsing the web, and if I want to check Instagram, I can just hold the speed key and hit I, and it'll automatically open up Instagram without having me to go back to the home screen and open that application. Now, given that there are 52 or 53 buttons on the Blackberry KEY1, the amount of customizability is just endless. You can basically assign every app that you have on your smartphone to a certain key, and you can use the speed key to open up those applications instantly. And the only thing is obviously memorizing those shortcuts, because that would be quite challenging, but I think it's a pretty cool feature. Now, during my briefing with Blackberry, one of the things that they did emphasize a lot more was on added security and the level of protection that they want to offer customers with. So first and foremost, it's the inclusion of DTEC and what they've done to sort of enhance and improve the built-in or the app that normally comes pre-installed with Blackberry KEY1 and of course the KEY2. So what they've done is they've redesigned the UI, they made things a lot cleaner, but what they've also done is given they've added features like being able to scan applications in the background. So for example, if you have an application that's accessing your microphone without your knowledge, the app will pop up or bring up a notification saying, hey, this app is using a microphone, would you want to take a certain action? And you can certainly go into the settings and can sort of disable that. It just gives users the flexibility and the control of what features or what are some of the things that certain apps are accessing. Now, you could technically do this within Android, within the OS, within the settings app, but I'd be interested to see how this would do when I eventually test the device. Now, when it comes to specs, well, I would keep your expectations low, because if you're someone who's looking for flagship level of specs on a BlackBerry smartphone, this is not it. The Key 2 is not for you, because they decided to go with a Snapdragon 660 processor instead of a Snapdragon 845. And when I asked BlackBerry about it, they said that they wanted to, put inside a chipset that's more power efficient, but yet can still deliver fast performance. And I guess in a way I could go with what they're saying here, because, if we can find a way to sort of compensate or extend battery life with going for a power efficient chip, but also, running apps faster, that's great. In fact, when I did review the Blackberry KeyOne, performance was just fantastic. It was not running a flagship CPU. It was running a basic mid-tier CPU. So, I mean, to me, I think that's okay, but obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. The Key 2 comes in 2 color variants. So you've got your standard black and silver trim, and of course your all black trim. So there are no special black editions going on around here, just like the Key 1. It's just called the Blackberry Key 2, and that's pretty much it. There's 6 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of onboard storage. In some select regions, you can actually opt for a 120 gigabyte variant, but you can also expand the storage, which is awesome. Now, the battery capacity hasn't increased that much. They've still kept the same amount of capacity, just like the Key 1. It is a little bit on the disappointing side, but again, I'd be interesting to see how the battery life would hold up when I eventually get the Key 2 test sample. The display on the Key 2 is exactly the same when compared to the Key 1. You're getting the same 4.5-inch 1620 by 1080 IPS display. It's nothing significant. It's a little bit disappointing because I was expecting, a little bit more pixels, maybe give us QHD in some variants, but it is what we're working with, but I'd be interesting to see how that holds up in 2018. Now, given that we've witnessed smartphones in 2018 come with dual cameras, I guess BlackBerry took the same route by implementing 2 12-megapixel cameras, both at different focal lengths. So the wide-angle lens comes with an f1.8 aperture, and the optical zoom lens comes with an f2.6 aperture. So you're going to be losing a little bit of light. They are using different sensors when compared to the Key 1. Remember, the Key 1 had the same sensor on the Google Pixel. So it is interesting to see, or I will be interesting to test out what the camera performance is like. BlackBerry has said they've improved the hardware and the software optimization when it comes to processing the images. So again, I will have to test out the Blackberry Key 2, especially when it comes to cameras, to see how that holds up with the Pixel 2 and of course other flagships in 2018. As for software, the Key 2 is rocking Android 8.1 Oreo out of the box, and BlackBerry has promised the Android P upgrade later on. And what is really odd is the price point for the Blackberry Key 2. So the base model, the one that comes with 64 gigabytes of storage, 6 gigabytes of RAM, Snapdragon 660, and this not all new, more of a refined design when compared to the Key 1, it's going to run you $650 US. I have mixed feelings about that price point because it puts it right in line with the OnePlus 6, the Google Pixel 2, and a few other smartphones. So, I mean, again, I'd love to see how this would hold up in 2018. Now, BlackBerry isn't advertising the Key 2 as a flagship killer. It's really targeted towards a niche market, people who are BlackBerry loyalists, not people who are looking for a smartphone with the best possible display, the best possible specs, build quality, and battery life. It is targeted towards a certain type of people who are looking for smartphones with a physical keyboard. Now, the lack of wireless charging and lack of IP68 water resistant rating could be a few deal-breaking features for some of you out there. But again, I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts on the Key 2. What do you guys think about it? Do you think BlackBerry has a shot with the Key 2, and would you be actually willing to pick one up? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm Ibor with HardwareCanucks. Stay tuned for our full review of the BlackBerry Key 2 once it's launched, and of course when I get back from Computex. I'm Ibor with HardwareCanucks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.